The Earth had long been a target. For centuries, the signs were clear. Alien forces observed and studied the humans in silence, waiting for the right moment. That moment arrived without warning, with a force so overwhelming that Earth's military could do little but retreat. The initial assault was swift and brutal. Cities fell, governments collapsed, and human resistance faltered. The invaders, technologically superior in every way, showed no mercy. Their weapons tore through the sky like thunderbolts, reducing everything in their path to rubble. For those who survived, hope seemed like a distant memory. The remaining human forces, though broken, held on in a handful of underground bunkers, refusing to surrender, clinging to an idea that had been passed down through generations. But this was no ordinary war. The truth was far stranger. Humanity's true advantage had never been weapons nor armor. It was something far more elusive, a belief. The myth of natural armor had been perpetuated, not as a military strategy, but as a psychological one. For years, humans had been told they were different, stronger, more resilient. Their bodies might not have had physical armor like the alien species that now decimated their world, but their minds, their spirits, their will to survive was beyond what anyone could comprehend. The aliens may have underestimated this, thinking they could overwhelm them easily. They had no idea that, for centuries, humanity had secretly prepared for this war in a way no one could have predicted. The preparation began long before the alien fleets ever appeared in Earth's atmosphere. Ancient, hidden organizations had spent decades developing a technology that the world's governments were unaware of: quantum mechanics. It wasn't just science. It was the key to humanity's ultimate defense. The technology wasn't designed to enhance the human body or provide physical armor. It was designed to unlock the untapped potential of the human mind, to push the limits of endurance and resilience, to make humans indestructible, not in the way the aliens expected, but in a way that only they could ever understand. By the time the aliens landed, the groundwork had been laid. Small groups of soldiers, scientists, and engineers had been working in secret to harness quantum entanglement, the key to manipulating human physiology and mind. A technology designed to rewrite what it meant to be human. In the beginning, it had been subtle. Small experiments that enhanced cognitive function and reflexes. Over time, the results became undeniable. Humans could survive extreme conditions. They could withstand trauma that would kill any normal person. And yet, even as this power grew, it was hidden from the world, hidden from the very people who would need it most. The war had begun, but only a select few knew that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't in a gun or a tank. It was within them. The true scope of the project was revealed only when Earth's leadership faced the undeniable fact that they were losing. For years, the military had been struggling, trying to defend cities with conventional methods. But the alien forces adapted too quickly, their technology too advanced. The remaining human commanders were left with little choice. The only way to stand a chance was to activate the quantum program, something that had been shrouded in secrecy. As humanity's last hope, a small elite team of soldiers, scientists, and strategists was assembled. They were the ones chosen to lead the charge against the invaders, their minds connected to the secret technologies that made them nearly unstoppable. The public was unaware, and the aliens, far too confident in their superiority, had no clue what was coming. The hero of this story was one of the few who had witnessed the early stages of this technology firsthand. They had been part of a team studying quantum entanglement for years, but it wasn't until the war began that they truly understood what it meant. They had seen the tests, the early attempts, the failures, the progress. They had experienced the pain of pushing their own limits, feeling their bodies strain against the altered boundaries of their own physiology. The transformation was not without its tolls. The mind would often rebel against the enhancements, the mind-tethered technology, trying to merge the two separate realities of the human body and its enhanced state. But the benefits were undeniable. Enhanced strength, near invulnerability to physical damage, heightened reflexes, and faster healing. It was the ultimate answer to the aliens' technological superiority. Despite this, The hero knew that this wasn't the story of an indestructible soldier. It wasn't about the strength of one individual. It was about the collective potential of humanity. No single person could stop the alien threat. It would take an entire force of these enhanced soldiers, working together, to stand a chance. They had to lead the charge, fighting not just for survival, but for the future of the human race. This wasn't just a war. It was a test of humanity's will to endure, to adapt, to evolve. The team assembled was as diverse as Earth itself. Each member had been chosen not just for their combat ability, but for their ability to integrate the quantum enhancements with their natural human instincts. They were not just soldiers. They were a symbol of humanity's capacity to evolve, to rise above the horrors of war. Alongside the hero, the Exo was an unflinching tactical genius, capable of navigating even the most perilous of situations. The scientist, once a quiet researcher, now possessed knowledge that could save the world or destroy it, depending on how it was used. The soldiers, once ordinary people, were now part of a collective force greater than any alien could ever fathom. Together, they would rewrite the rules of combat. As they prepared for their final mission to infiltrate the alien stronghold, each of them understood that there was no turning back. The stakes were too high. The technology that could save humanity was their only hope, but the risks were immense. If they failed, it would not just be the end of a battle. It would be the end of everything. The aliens would rule Earth forever, and humanity would be remembered only as a footnote in history. But there was something the aliens didn't understand: the human spirit, the resilience, the drive to survive. It was this force, more than any weapon, that would ultimately decide the outcome. The quiet truth was that humans didn't need armor to survive. They were already practically indestructible. And they were going to prove it. The human team had only one objective: reach the alien stronghold, disable the invaders' command center, and activate the quantum disruptor. Every step was critical. The first phase of their plan was to infiltrate the aliens' fortified perimeter, a task that would require not only military precision, but also an understanding of the enemy's technology. Their quantum-enhanced bodies made them formidable, but the alien forces were relentless. They had no illusions about the challenges ahead. Despite the technological advancements at their disposal, there was one undeniable truth: they were outnumbered. The enemy's fleet was massive, its soldiers far more numerous than their own. Yet it was a strategic edge, the human ability to adapt quickly and think on their feet, that made the difference. Unlike the aliens, who operated with rigid, predictable methods, humanity had a unique strength in their ability to improvise. Every member of the team knew their role and trusted each other implicitly, a strength that the alien forces had underestimated. The first hurdle was the defense grid surrounding the stronghold. It was unlike anything the humans had ever seen, a sophisticated system that seemed impenetrable. The scientist, whose knowledge of quantum mechanics had been instrumental in their enhancement, was the key. They were the one who understood how to breach the alien encryption, how to manipulate the quantum network that powered the grid. The first few attempts to disable the system failed, each one triggering alarms that alerted the alien forces to their presence. But it was in these moments of failure that their human resilience shone. No alien force could predict how humans would respond when cornered, and it was this unpredictability that kept the enemy off balance. Each failure brought the team closer to success. They pushed through the obstacles, recalibrating their approach with each setback, using their enhanced reflexes and heightened intelligence to adapt in real time. The Exo, a leader with an unshakable calm in the face of adversity, provided the tactical framework. They kept the team focused, ensuring that every decision was made with precision. The soldiers, augmented with quantum enhancements, moved faster, hit harder, and recovered quicker than any alien could comprehend. But even with these advantages, the real weapon was the unity of the team. They understood that it was not just their individual strengths, but their collective effort that would win the day. By the time they reached the core of the alien fortress, they had already been through hell. The journey had taken them through an endless series of traps and ambushes, each one designed to break their resolve. Yet every time they were pushed to the brink, they found a way to push back. The aliens, though technologically advanced, could not understand the true nature of human strength. Their power was in their minds, in their ability to adapt, to endure, and to fight for something greater than themselves. It wasn't just survival. It was the survival of the human spirit, something that no amount of advanced weaponry could ever crush. The next phase of the operation was even more dangerous. With the alien forces closing in, the team had to split into smaller units, each one tasked with completing a crucial part of the mission. The hero, whose leadership had been the glue holding the team together, now faced a choice: go for the disruptor or ensure that the quantum technology was activated in time. It was a decision that weighed heavily on them. The quantum disruptor was their greatest hope for turning the tide, but the risks were immense. The technology could fail, and if it did, they would lose their last chance to stop the invasion. Yet there was no choice but to move forward. They knew that failure was not an option. The team's unity was tested to its limits. As they pressed deeper into the heart of the alien command center, each member faced their own personal battles. For the XO, it was a struggle to keep the team's morale high in the face of overwhelming odds. For the scientist, it was a constant pressure to understand the alien technology and find a way to use it against them. For the soldiers, it was the physical and mental toll of the mission, the constant risk of death hanging over them. Every step forward was a battle, but they knew that giving up was not an option. Their enhanced abilities kept them alive, but it was their human determination that kept them fighting. As they reached the core of the alien stronghold, the team encountered a twist in their plan. The disruptor was not just a weapon, it was a key. The scientists had discovered that the quantum technology they had developed was more than just a defense mechanism. It was a key to rewriting the very fabric of the alien technology that had so thoroughly dominated Earth. By activating the disruptor, they could not only disable the alien command center, but also erase the aliens' technological advantage over humanity. It was a weapon of unimaginable power, one that could change the course of the war. But there was a complication. The disruptor was not ready. It needed to be calibrated, fine-tuned, and activated at just the right moment. It was a delicate process, and the longer they took, the more they risked being discovered. The alien forces were closing in, their presence growing stronger by the second. It was now or never. The hero made a decision. They would take the risk. They would buy enough time for the scientists to calibrate the disruptor and activate it, even if it meant putting their own life on the line. It was a sacrifice they were willing to make. The alien forces might have superior technology, but they didn't have humanity's ability to fight, to adapt, and to make the impossible a reality. The final moments before the disruptor was activated were filled with tension. The air was thick with the weight of the decision. The team held their breath as the countdown began. The scientists worked furiously, each adjustment critical. And then, in the silence that followed, the disruptor activated. A pulse of energy rippled through the alien command center, shutting down their systems and rendering their technology useless. The aliens, so sure of their victory, were blindsided. They had never considered that humans could have a weapon that could neutralize their greatest strength, their technology. As the dust settled and the alien forces retreated, the hero knew that they had done it. The battle wasn't over, but this victory marked the turning point. The human resistance had found its strength, not in their armor, not in their technology, but in their will to survive. The aliens had underestimated humanity, thinking them weak, thinking them fragile. But the truth was something far different. Humans didn't need natural armor, because they were already practically indestructible. And now, the rest of the universe would learn that lesson the hard way. The human team stood at the precipice of their final moment. The battle had shifted. The aliens, once confident in their overwhelming superiority, now found themselves grappling with a force they had never anticipated: human ingenuity. The quantum disruptor had successfully crippled their command center, but that was only the first part of the equation. Now, humanity needed to finish what had been started, to capitalize on the chaos and take the fight directly to the invaders. The aliens, disoriented by the loss of their technological advantage, scrambled to regroup. The team understood the significance of the disruptor's success, but it came with a heavy price. The alien forces were far from defeated. They were merely momentarily halted. There was no time for celebration. The hero and their team had to strike now, while the enemy was reeling from their own hubris. The task ahead was clear. They had to push forward, take the alien leadership by force, and break the invaders' will to fight. The journey to the alien command leader was one of the most perilous parts of the entire mission. Even with the quantum disruptor's success, the remaining alien forces were far from passive. They were desperate, now operating with a raw, primal ferocity that came from knowing they were on the brink of defeat. But the humans were no longer fighting just for survival. They were fighting to preserve their humanity, what it meant to be human, to endure, to adapt, to refuse to bow to tyranny. This wasn't a war of technology. It was a war of wills. The team's resilience became their most powerful weapon. The hero led the charge, their mind focused on the mission's final objective. There was no room for hesitation. They understood the gravity of the situation. The aliens might have superior firepower, but humans possessed something the aliens could never replicate, a spirit that could never be broken. The fight was no longer about weapons. It was about resolve. The aliens, in their arrogance, had never understood what it meant to be human. They had underestimated the one thing that would ultimately decide the battle, the human capacity for unity and sacrifice. As they reached the final stage of their assault, a new revelation hit the team. The quantum disruptor had a deeper purpose than initially understood. The scientists had uncovered a startling truth. Humanity's ability to manipulate quantum energy wasn't just a defense against the alien technology. It was a key to rewriting the very fabric of the universe itself. This power could not only cripple the alien systems, but could alter the course of history. The hero realized the full scope of the technology's potential. The disruptor could shift the balance of the entire galaxy, but activating it would require a monumental sacrifice. It was a one-way trip. Once activated, there was no going back. The hero's mind raced. They had fought this war for so long, for so many years. Every victory had come with a price. Every setback had been met with greater resolve. But this was different. This wasn't just about Earth or survival. It was about something much larger, humanity's place in the cosmos. This was their moment to rewrite history, to prove once and for all that they were not a species to be trifled with. But to do this, they would have to make the ultimate choice. The quantum disruptor required the activation of a unique neural connection, a link that could only be established by the hero. It was a connection that would tie their consciousness to the fabric of the energy, binding them to the disruptor's power forever. The team's final mission was simple in its objective: activate the disruptor and shift the tide of the war. Yet it was anything but simple. The cost was immense, and the risks were unimaginable. The hero, understanding the implications, turned to their team. The bonds they had formed over the course of this war were unspoken but unbreakable. They didn't need to say anything. Each member knew the stakes, knew that this final mission would either lead to humanity's victory or its extinction. There were no second chances. In those final moments, as the countdown to the disruptor's activation began, the human team stood together. Their unity was their greatest strength, the one thing the aliens had failed to account for. While the aliens operated as a collective force, each individual part of a larger, detached system, humanity had always thrived on its individuality, its capacity for personal sacrifice, and its unyielding determination to protect its own. That spirit, that drive, was what made them indestructible. The hero wasn't the only one who would make a sacrifice. Every member of the team knew their role in this final mission, and each one would carry their weight until the end. The moment of truth arrived. The hero, now linked to the quantum disruptor, felt the surge of energy coursing through them. The connection was instantaneous and overwhelming. They could feel the shift in reality. the pull of the quantum fabric as it bent to their will. The alien leadership was powerless against it. The disruptor's energy cascaded outward, striking the alien command center and disrupting their entire network. The invaders' technology, their weapons, their ships, their ability to coordinate, collapsed in an instant. The aliens, who had thought they were invincible, now found themselves helpless. Their forces scattered, their leadership in disarray. But the cost was as high as the hero had feared. The power of the quantum disruptor overwhelmed their consciousness, pulling them into an endless loop of energy and thought. The hero's final words were not spoken aloud, but shared through the team's minds, a silent understanding between them all. The war was over, but the price of victory was steep. Humanity had won, but it had come at the expense of their hero, their last link to the quantum force that had turned the tide. As the alien forces retreated, broken and confused, the team looked to the sky. They had done it. They had won. But the victory felt hollow. The hero, the one who had led them, was gone, sacrificed for the greater good. The team knew that the war wasn't truly over. The cost of this victory would be felt for generations. The universe now knew that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, a species that could not be extinguished. But the question remained, what would humanity do with this power? Would they honor the sacrifice made for them, or would they become what they had fought against? The team, now more united than ever, vowed to protect the hero's legacy. They would rebuild, but they would never forget the lesson they had learned, that humanity's greatest strength was not in its technology nor its weapons, but in its resilience, its spirit, and its unwavering will to survive. The universe had witnessed the indomitable will of the human race, and it would never forget.